We on?
There's a link.
What's up, everybody?
Oh boy.
Hopefully you can hear us well. Hopefully we're not deep voice track this time, whatever it's called.
It's called Sexy Time. That's what it's called.
MOTS After Dark.
Good thing Eric just lost the game for us.
Did not lose the game for us.
Whatever.
I gave you an expected outcome.
No, we're gonna leave. We're gonna leave with what you've just done. We're gonna leave with what you did.
I didn't do anything. Look,
you did everything.
There's something about predicting the future. It's a blessing and a curse.
No, mate.
It's a blessing and a curse.
It's got to do with the penalty at the end.
Yeah, predicting the future.
No,
It's a penalty and it's a blessing and a curse.
I mean, to be fair, I just
You
like
walked-
literally seconds before he took the penalty, I really quickly looked at both of you and said, is he going to make it or is he going to miss it? So, I mean, it wasn't like you had a whole lot of time to think about it. But I know you were going to say miss it anyway, because
No.
you've been hating on him the whole game.
Well, should we start? Because you're missing the point of why it's your fault. It has nothing to do with your
All
prediction.
right, let's start.
All right. It's your fault. Eric's fault.
It's not my fault.
Eric's fault. Eric's fault.
I'll explain why it's not my fault.
Well, let me go first.
All right, you go first.
Okay. Well, you have to lead us into it. Okay.
I need silence. Sir.
Sound of silence. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Well, what's up, Atlanta? This is the Mouths of the South podcast brought to you by Dirty South Soccer in the palatial 680 The Fan Studios. I am Eric Quintana, Josh Bagriansky next to me, Sam Franco across from me, and 3-2 loss for Atlanta United after Pizzi Martinez loses it for Atlanta United there at the end. That missed PK, skies over the bar.
What a wild match.
It was absolutely crazy. 3-2 was the final, 2-2 at half. Both teams essentially spotted each other the first goals. One off of a bad turnover by Nagby that isn't cleared properly in the defensive third. Leads to the first Toronto goal in the first 30 seconds of the match. And then you've got the handball by Toronto in the box that leads to the first Atlanta United goal. Then they trade goals late in the second half. And then you get the PK there at the end. I think it's officially called on Pogba, right? From like a clip from behind or something like that.
Yeah, Pogba with the clip.
Pogba following Laurier from behind.
There you go.
Mhm.
And that makes it 3-2. And then
That's in stoppage time.
yeah, there at the end, like about a minute after, I literally walked out of the
We'll
studio.
address that in a moment.
I walked out of the studio and missed the whole sequence of the handball in the box. So I walked in not realizing.
So wait, so you have no idea. Wait. So
I left the room 3-2 after that PK was scored, and I'm thinking.
So you don't even realize that the final whistle was blown, and then they went to VAR.
Oh no, I had no
which is
idea.
totally fine. But yeah, see, okay. So let's just go ahead. This is Eric's fault. So let's just go ahead.
This is not my fault.
So as Eric just said, Pozuelo scores the penalty kick, 3-2 for Toronto FC in stoppage time. Eric in a huff leaves the studio, walks off or whatever. Magically, without Eric watching Atlanta United putting his hex upon the 5 stripes, we win that penalty kick with the handball going to VAR. And Sam and I see Eric walk by the studio and we're like, hey, come back. And so Eric decides to come back in for the penalty kick. And what do you know? PT skies it. So look, we're going to get on PT today. He deserves some criticism, not just for the missed pen, but I think we all know who's really to blame. #blame Eric.
No, this is not me. This is not me.
I just, tonight is so clear.
This is on
You
him.
left the room and good things happened. You came back into the room and bad things happened.
Tonight is on the Atlanta United front office
The front
for
office.
trusting in a guy like Pity, the reigning South American player of the year, to come into Atlanta, to change the game in MLS for Atlanta,
Take it hot.
to whatever, quote unquote, replace Miggy Almiron, which we know he isn't really doing, and he's not expected to do the way Miggy does. But he's still, he's the replacement. This is clearly Atlanta United's fault.
Okay, fine.
Front
So
office.
let's pretend it's not Eric's fault, and let's dive into the other things.
Nothing like deflecting to
It is-
the one entity of Atlanta United that everyone
Well,
loves,
look,
the front office.
We get-
I'm really gonna win this one.
I mean, it's officially time, I think, to really start criticizing PT Martinez.
Oh,
And
he's an accessory.
it has nothing to do with the missed penalty to me. I mean, it's terrible. You got to make that from the spot. But you see PT Martinez tonight, and if you tuned into the halftime show, when we went over some of the tactical ways that Toronto was attacking Atlanta United, they were attacking down PT Martinez's side because you know he's not going to come back and play defense and isolate Michael Parker's. So Frank de Boer had to make an adjustment at halftime where he basically moved PT up top as a second striker with no defensive responsibility, and then it instructs Julian Gressel or the holding midfielders to fill in where he would be defensively. If you're going to be forced to move a player like PT Martinez into a role where he has no defensive responsibility, he has to give you something in attack. And he didn't do that tonight. So basically, you particularly with Brandon Vasquez, a second striker up there, you're basically playing a man down in attack because you had to overhaul your system in order to combat them bombing Richie Laurier, the right back, or the left back down PT's side, wherever he was. PT wasn't able to get back. It's not his game to get back. You change your entire tactics. You change your entire setup for that. You have to get a better performance from that player through building the shape, the formation, the tactics around them.
I totally agree. I'll say that PT Martinez, I think, up to this point, has been okay at times, especially once he switched back to being kind of out wide, and Frank de Boer figured out that that's going to be where he's more effective. Mm-hmm. But in this game, it just kind of felt like, was he trying to take on too much? Like, it just kind of felt like he was stepping outside of the bounds of what he was supposed to do.
Well, I just think it was the way Toronto was set up was clear. And again, we talked about this at half. It was clear they were trying to attack the wide areas, in particular go at Michael Parker, where you have a pace advantage. And you've got PT on the right side, on Parky's side, is not a player to come back defensively. So I don't think it's so much asking so much of PT. It's more so that Toronto puts you in a position where either PT comes back and defends and he's not in the area where you want him to be, or you adjust your tactics completely. It's no coincidence both goals in the first half for Toronto came from the right side of the pitch, crosses into the box.
You know what obsessed me even more is that he even had the opportunity to take that PK, because I was ready to rail on Pity even before that.
Like, you 100%
this has absolutely nothing to do with this.
No. Players miss penalties.
PK, no PK, I couldn't care less because it has nothing to do with the PK.
It's fitting.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
But it's not.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I just at this point, I think he's an accessory. I think that he's not someone you build the team around. He's not even someone you consider him a kind of a piece to the bigger puzzle, a very small piece to the bigger puzzle. At this point, I'm almost willing to put Tito in front of Pity. Because Pity provides you almost nothing in the attack. He gave you a little bit there at the end, stuff that you're like, oh man, where's this been the entire match? But it's not consistent enough to where I'm willing to start him game in and game out.
You called him accessory basically earlier, right? I mean,
yeah,
as a guy, I think he's a guy that obviously helps you, but you have to have the players around him because he doesn't give you anything defensively, and he hasn't been good enough in the attack to warrant playing him with no defensive responsibility. So you might as well play a Tito or a Barco when he gets back. And if you're going to say, okay, you can sit up top and you don't have to come back and play any defense if you have from PT, I think you're going to get a much better performance from a Tito, from a Barco, even from a Gressel.
Barco is crucial to this team right now.
You saw that tonight.
Joseph Martinez is obviously crucial to this team right now. Guys like LGP and Nagby and Renetti, they're crucial to this team right now. Pity is not. And Pity, I just don't see how this turns around. I'm done with he's arrived and anyone trying to convince you that oh, it's going to take him a while. I'm done with that because I have no idea. Barco last year, you could see the bits and pieces that show that he had the talent, that he had the capability to.
Well, some people didn't, but that's no problem. Yeah.
They had the capability. He had the capability.
You got to get that in there.
He had the capability to make it happen at some point. He had the ability to contribute on a regular basis. He had the ability to.
And he wasn't getting consistent minutes every week. So he was a tough time. You know,
I have no idea how this changes for Pity because he's not going to get faster. It's like he's lost all technical ability on the ball in any kind of 1v1 situation. Mm-hmm. It's like he has no idea what to do.
Well, I also think we need to dial it back a second because again, when Atlanta United has their full complement of players and he's playing around these better players, he's looked better, and obviously,
but you didn't pay him
right. No,
what you paid him, and he's not a South American Player of the Year.
That we agree
to
with.
Be an accessory. But that title to me means absolutely nothing at this point.
Totally agree. But
we went over how the South American Player of the Year might not be all it's cracked up to be in previous.
Yeah, but I think expect more. I mean, I think the way it does turn around, Eric, is that PT's success will be based on the players around him, and we based on Ezequiel Barco playing underneath the striker and pulling defenders away from P.T. Martinez, or playing him in behind, or having a Joseph Martinez, and that hurt tonight, not having a Joseph Martinez being able to drop in possession or pull the two center backs away from P.T. Martinez as he cuts inside. So you're right. I mean, you're right that that's not what you paid for. You didn't pay for a tricky role player that's going to come up with a great highlight goal every now and then. You paid for a little more consistency than that.
Control the game.
That being said, you do say, how does this get better? And I think that's how is you just back to full strength in the attack, and I think things will fall into place more so for PT. That being said, I am shocked that his inability to take over a match when asked, because my thoughts were, like you said, Eric, that's why you pay big money for those guys. That's why you pay big money for Miguel Almiron, Ezequiel Barco, because you want to build around those guys. You want matches like tonight where you're missing players, things are tough, you're on the road, you haven't played in 3 weeks. You want that player to grab this game by the scruff of the neck and drive you forward. P.T. Martinez has not shown the ability to do that all season long, unless he has players around him to take that pressure off.
See, Barco, while he didn't look great last year, he didn't look like an absolute bust. P.T. at this point looks like a bust. A bust in the sense that he's not even close to what you thought he was.
I have to
it's
hard to disagree with you.
He's not even close to what you thought he was.
It's hard to disagree. My thing with him, and we were talking about this during the match, Eric, is it just doesn't come off enough. For a guy that tries tricky things a lot, it just doesn't come off enough for a guy you paid that much money for. I mean, a guy who tries.
You know why he took that midfield shot? It's because he had two guys around him. He didn't have the speed to do anything else but hit that long shot, a la Wayne Rooney, who actually scored it.
You have got to go see that goal.
That's fantastic.
That. But I mean, who knows? I mean, we've seen him try things like that, whether it be trying to take guys on, whether it be shooting from distance, and it just hasn't. I mean, it just hasn't come off for him. Simple as that. It hasn't been good enough. And for a guy that you are building your team around, you're building your tactics around, especially when you're missing an Ezequiel Barco, that you're relying on, who I get a performance like that tonight.
Who I think you're planning to have on this club for 4 or 5 years.
Barco.
No. Pity.
Maybe. I mean, he might be.
Where is he going?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
where is he going
at this point? I think it's either back to southeast. I don't. Certainly, his stock has dropped.
I'm trying to think. Would Ritter even take him back?
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be able to afford him at this point. But yeah, I think you could find some suitors for him.
Well, your price tag's going to go down if you keep playing the way he's playing.
It's going to be a huge loss in terms of what you bought him for and what you're going to end up selling him for. I mean, maybe it still does come good, but you guys are right. I mean,
you guys don't think it? I was going to say maybe he still does come. You guys don't think it's still a little too early to be? I mean, calling him words like bust and like.
That was Aaron.
I know, but I'm just saying.
No. I'm on this train.
This is what will turn it
around.
I'm
on this train. Yeah, me.
I was going to say, blame Eric. Maybe it's going to work the other way.
Eric's always right about the negative things, and then when he says positive things, he jinxed us. So in this case, hopefully it works the other way around. I thought Vasquez, too, tonight, if we just continue with attacking players, we talked about this being a big night for him.
Not good. He did not show up when he needed to show up.
2 massive opportunities missed for him, in particular that cross he receives from Breck Shea. You've got to finish that one there.
Well, the other one, too, when Shea slid him in, and he makes a really nice cutback, and skies one over the bar. It's like that's something.
And the late chance
point
where PT actually set him up, and then he takes a bad touch, and it goes out for a corner.
So here's I guess my difference between. I understand they're different players, but here's my difference between Brandon Vasquez. Brandon Vasquez hasn't gotten the minutes that obviously Pitti has. And I think over time with consistent starting minutes, and Brandon Vasquez isn't going to be that guy with Atlanta United for the foreseeable future. But if you were to get consistent minutes, I think he could grow into that role really, really well.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see. I mean, to his credit, he was active tonight. I thought his movement was good, and it's not like he was non-existent. I mean, he was getting into good places. You're right, Eric. He did more or less create that wrestle goal.
I mean, that was a beautiful run down that right side. You look at some of the stronger players that you can just pop up in your head, and I mean, he thundered down that side and fought off the defender well to get that cross into Gross.
Yeah, but you need end product from a guy up there. That being said, it's not a huge surprise that a player like Brandon Vasquez misses a huge opportunities like he did tonight. It is a surprise to once again see PT kind of fall flat on his face in the attack. But I still think for Vasquez, I think he did enough where if Joseph, if Venezuela, well, Joseph will definitely miss this weekend, but if Venezuela go deeper in Copa America, I do think he did enough in terms of just getting into those dangerous positions, because when Romario was playing, it was like he was non-existent. He wasn't even getting on the ball. So at least Brandon Vasquez showed he has the willingness, the IQ to get into those positions. But obviously, if you're going to be a starting striker in MLS or at any level, you've got to show a little more end product, and you didn't get that from him tonight. And it made a big difference. Certainly, this is a match where if you, and I hate when people do this, but if you plug Joseph Martinez in for Brandon Vasquez, I think we're talking about 3 points for Atlanta United tonight.
I will. So Atlanta United, the team, I'll let them off rather easy because how long has it been since they played?
Well, you mean
outside I think June 1st might have been the last league match.
So maybe they're a little rusty.
Mhm.
Maybe they have whatever. I don't know.
But they're playing against a team that was also not playing any players.
Yeah,
Let's just leave it at rusty. But what did I say before on the radio show? I said this feels like a time where Atlanta United fans are setting themselves up for failure or for disappointment.
Yeah.
Assuming that Toronto is not assuming they are as bad as they are, but when you when you put that out into the universe,
Right.
you're setting yourself up for disappointment. That Toronto team wasn't as bad as we all thought they were going to be.
Well, that's true.
They were at least
more ready for this
much,
game than Atlanta United was.
They were much more organized than Atlanta United was.
Yeah.
Much more organized.
Oh, absolutely.
Much more organized.
Much. Well, I think without organization, Toronto doesn't really stand a chance in a match like this, especially where you're missing players like Osorio and Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore down the spine of your team. And basically, we saw Toronto very organized, more or less play 3 holding midfielders in front of the back four, Liam Fraser, Nick De Leon, and Marky Delgado, and just made it really tough for Atlanta United. And that's, if the team is going to sit back and they're going to be organized, and I know we keep harping on this, but that's where those PT Martinez's have to step up and give you that little bit of extra bit of quality, and you just didn't see that from them tonight. What really interested me tonight was in the second half. You talk about organization, Eric. Toronto slightly changed their tactics and moved the second player up alongside Pozuelo, who was basically playing all on his own as a false 9 in the first half. And Atlanta United really struggled, I thought, to deal with that. That was probably the reason I think you see Pogba come on late and you go to 3 center backs so you can deal with 2 up top as opposed to 1. And you basically saw the opposite winger, say the ball was coming down the right, you'd see Schaffelberg from the left come in, plays a second striker on Pozuelo. You saw Delgado or De Leon try to bomb up from the center mid position and play alongside him. So not only were Toronto organized, but they made a little tweak at halftime in terms of getting a second player up to Pozuelo and not leaving him isolated that I really thought affected Atlanta United's backline and really affected our ability to possess. And that's really what I think frustrates you about the second half is you weren't able to get a hold of the ball. So much so you had to go do a 3-5-2 counterattacking formation that we saw from Tata Martino throughout 2018. So
that to me was the sign that there's the fact that Pitti didn't start at that number 10 role today, and instead it was, at least graphically, it was Gressel in that number 10 role, leads me to believe there's absolutely no faith in Pitti doing anything to control the middle.
No, but Gressel's been doing that, though. This isn't a new development. I mean, the Gressel, when Barco's been out, Gressel slid over to the middle because Frank de Boer looks like he figured out Pitti can't do anything in the middle of the field.
Right. To me, that's just confirmation.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
But even in a situation where you don't have Barco,
Andrew Carlton,
where you didn't have Carlton. I mean, this is. To a certain point, you got to be like, come on, man. We paid all this money for you. I don't know. I want more out of Pitti. I expect more out of Pitti. Everyone should be angry at Pitti for well, not the player. It's not his fault that Atlanta United paid as much money as they did.
But the expectations are there for a reason.
I mean, you gotta be mad at the front office for missing whatever they missed. You gotta be mad at whoever sold the bill of goods that is Pitti Martinez.
I mean, does this feel like one where he's like, "Ooh, South American Player of the Year. Let's go get that." I mean,
I don't know about that. I would like to hear, and maybe I'm wrong. I would like to hear what the thought process was. What Atlanta United saw that made them think he's a great addition. Let's call it what it is to replace.
Again,
there was dedication to Pitti playing the 10.
Absolutely.
And then, now there's not.
And the thing is, so now what you're saying is, all right, you can start on the right and you can just come into the middle whenever you want. Total free roll. So that means you're going to get caught in the middle. You're not going to be able to get back and defend down that wing. If you're afforded that freedom where you become a defensive liability by design, you have to play better or you're literally playing a man down. And that's why you get outpossessed in the second half tonight because you're forced to play a PT in a more advanced role and then you lose kind of your advantage through the midfield. So I thought, it's time to really, I think, start criticizing this guy because he's affecting the way you play, and then he's not giving you what you need going forward in order for that to be worth it.
And I think Eric makes a great point earlier, and this might have actually been off air, but you said, is it time that Tito starts to get looks over Pitt?
No, yeah, I at this point, I think he should.
I think when he's back healthy, you're going to see. Yeah,
I think Pitt needs to re-earn his spot in the starting lineup.
So you're saying your attack will be like Joseph, Gressel, Tito, and Barco, like ideally when you're out there.
Yeah. Well, same lineup today, except you've got Barco in for Gressel, I guess out wide or whatever on the left.
Yeah, Gressel on one side, Tito on the other side.
Something like that.
I'll say this. You know what this game could have used? It's like 69th, 70th minute, 2-2 game. Atlanta United didn't have anywhere to go to spark the attack on the bench. And you know why that is? Because your homegrown player decides to not bring his passport with him to the damn game because is Canada another country? Well, yeah. That's what I meant. But he's not allowed to even travel to the game because it's in a different country. I'm sorry. I can't. The more this goes along, the more that pisses me off.
I looked at. I see. I'm starting to think more and more that he was a part of the starting 11 originally, in some way or the other.
Or at least some big part of the game plan. Because if you look at the travel roster, he would have been the only player that could spark the attack coming off the bench.
Yeah. And who was it? Just the two subs, or did they make all three?
Just two. That was
they didn't
and Pogba.
Yep.
Yeah, they didn't make.
You got
to think that Carlton might have been the third, if
maybe
not
so,
in the starting 11 himself. Because again, I mean, I look at the way this team was set up, and I was like, all right, well, you put, I don't know how you work it out, but you put Carlton in the middle at that 10 spot,
or he could be on the left where Pereira.
Whatever, whatever you want to do, but have them kind of be very fluid in and out. Find Carlton in the middle, and he can turn and do stuff that similar or in a way that maybe Almiron could do last year, at least to get something going up the field.
He's got more flair, maybe a little more inventive than what they had in the game. And even if he wasn't planning to start, like I was saying, and I said this to you guys around the 69th or 70th minute, it's like this game screams for him to come on because he's got more pace than either winger in the game right now, Pereira or Pizzi Martinez. And Pizzi probably wasn't going to come off, but Pereira didn't have a great game either. We're talking about all these people that didn't have a good game. Vasquez did not show up when he needed to kind of grab that brass ring. Pizzi Martinez, we've talked about that ad nauseum. Pereira, another guy, wasn't really great. Yeah. And this game was screaming for some inspiration in the attack off the bench, and they just didn't have it.
I'm sure it was tough for Andrew Carlton to watch that game from his TV at home and see Dion Pereira with two big chances where he just didn't have the clinicality to take a good first touch and finish, and ends up, I don't think he
might have been
getting a shot off on the. I mean, there were two big chances there where it slid across the 18, and he's not even able to really muster a good shot on goal. I'm sure it was tough for Andrew Carlton to watch that and think maybe that could have been me.
It just looked too sloppy all the way around. Defensively, you saw the first goal happen. It just looked like not that they weren't ready to play.
So really bad.
It was just. It didn't look like Atlanta United.
Well, I think that goal is really embodies a team that hasn't played a league match in whatever over 3 weeks, because I mean the turnover from first of all, I thought it's a weird pass from PT to turn around from around midfield and play the ball all the way back to Darlington Nagbe, and then he tries to lay the ball off, I think, to maybe one of the center backs straight to one of the Toronto players in front of the back four, and they attack and score. I mean that's carbon copy of how you want to concede a goal in 20 seconds into a match. So I mean you come out just flat without the right intensity, and I think that type of error that early in the match indicates exactly what I was saying, that you haven't played a league match, which is totally different from a U.S. Open Cup, and also being on the road and what have you. I think that type of mistake really shows you that it's going to take Atlanta United some time to work into this match.
We're streaming live on Dirty South Soccer YouTube right now. If you
follow our YouTube.
MOTS Podcast is our YouTube channel. Tonight we're on Dirty South Soccer. So if you got any questions, got any comments, anything you want us to specifically gloss over, feel free to send it our way. I don't know. It's one game in a series of like 8 weeks where you've got how many matches? Like 16 or something like that. It's something ridiculous. I don't know. You got essentially two a week.
2 weeks for the next month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's I'm not looking at this match and thinking, oh man, this next eight game run is a wash. It's just one in a string of many. So I'm willing to write this one off because we're not at full strength, because of the long break, a needed break. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is detrimental. I think, sure, you didn't get the result you wanted today. You did have your chance to get that result. You just, between Vasquez's misses, between the pity miss PK, you just couldn't capitalize. But overall, I'm not going to be upset if this is the one loss in the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks. The mission does get harder, though.
I was going to say, you're confident going, playing Monster all. I mean,
I'm confident that this team will find a way through Barco, through Tito, will find a way to be more, to capitalize more on their opportunities. I think that you add, I don't know how much longer Tito's out, but I assume in this 8-game run he'll be back. Barco, after 2 weeks, he'll be back. Who else are we missing? Franco Escobar will be back, and I think Breck Shea did okay tonight, but I thought there was a little something missing on that left side that maybe Franco, or the right side that Franco Escobar could have added to. Michael Parker's. That's who yeah. If you add Franco Escobar for Michael Parker's, I think it's a little bit of a different game, more so because of how Toronto FC was attacking Michael Parker's, especially in that first half.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they're going directly after him. They knew that he older player, not as quick as he used to be, and they try to take advantage of that. They know Breck Shea is a little bit quicker than a guy like Michael Parker. It's a little more physical, a little bit, I'm not going to say better defensively, but maybe it's a tougher task to get around as opposed to Michael Parker's, who, look, I'm not saying he's a bad player, a bad defender. We've seen him shine in that right back role, but tonight, for whatever reason, just wasn't there.
And I'm trying to just piece together some things too in this game. Like, was the purpose of the Pogba and Lorenowicz subs just that we have to hang on for dear life now? I mean, it felt like me because, again, you had nowhere to go on the bench for an attacking substitution.
I was surprised Miram didn't get it. I mean,
he's the closest thing you had to even an attacking substitution. And we talked about this on the radio show before the game. He's more of a kill the game off kind of player nowadays. So it's just, again, I can't help but look back at this and continue to get upset because you look at the squad going into this game, and there was only, before the bus took off, or the bus to the plane, or whatever you want to call it, Carlton was the only attacking sub on the bench. And you didn't have that going forward, or you didn't have that once you got there, and it completely, I'm just starting to think, threw a wrench into the equation.
Someone's saying in the chat, Eric complimenting Tito. Has the tides changed?
Well, you heard him just screaming about PT. I've never heard him scream about Tito like that.
Pity is Tito 2017.
With a lot more expectation.
I think with a lot more reason to be upset.
And Tito gave you some goals in that first half of 2017 too.
Tito 2017, it was crucial, especially when Joseph was out, was crucial and just staying afloat those early months. But no, I'm all for starting Pity to the bench and starting Tito over, because Tito at least gives you something. It might not come off every time, but at least it's something that's powerful, it's attacking, that you think has a chance. Anytime Pity gets the ball on the right side, anywhere on the field, really.
How much of it is confidence?
And see, that's the other thing I was right.
It really doesn't look like PD has confidence on the ball.
Not at all. Even on that first PK, I'm like, oh, man, South American Player of the Year. You think, oh, I've been here before. You saw him in Copa Live, right? Which was
he's played with the.
So I mean, he's been in these situations before. Like you shouldn't be worried about a guy like him in a PK situation. Thankfully, he made it. But even after that, it's not like his confidence went up. Even if you made the second PK,
you missed the second.
It's not like we're not still bashing him. The fact that he's got one goal from the run of play, and then the other one's a PK, and this one would have been the third goal, 2 of which came from PKs.
This is also weird to me in such a unique situation because you have a player coming from River Plate, one of the top 2, biggest clubs in Argentina. It just seems like he came from a situation that had more pressure, and he's come to a situation.
I think his job was easier.
I'll agree with you.
I think his job was so much easier.
I think he has less overall external pressure from the media saying you have to do this, blah blah blah. But there's pressure on him now because he went outside of his comfort zone and he was bought for such a big price. So it might be a different kind of pressure. But playing in MLS still seems like it would be easier on him than
Has to
playing.
be.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
think.
So that's why this whole situation is so weird. Because it's like the reverse of what it should be. Like if he was going from MLS down to River Plate, I might expect this because it's more pressure, stuff like that. But it's like the reverse of what it should be. It's like he's wilting under the pressure of the maybe the signing, maybe I don't know what it is.
So the way I'm kind of seeing it now is that he wasn't the best player at River last year.
He just made the most
he wasn't though.
But by a long shot, and the stats, the passes to those better players who did more with those passes or those moments than maybe Atlanta United players are doing now. And maybe it's because it's easier for these players to get themselves out of their own trouble. Maybe get around 1v1 situations. Maybe whatever the reasons are. Pity Martinez was an accessory at River, and a great one at that. Put up the numbers, impressed everyone. South American Player of the Year. But when you're just an accessory, you can't be made to be the game changer, the guy that comes in and changes the game for Atlanta United after Miggy leaves.
I really
hate going back to the whole Miggy thing, but let's be real. That's effectively who you replace.
I think he's kind of like that player that wins maybe in the NBA, like a finals MVP or something, who's like maybe the 5th or 6th best player on the team, but just so happened to make the most of the opportunities in a 7-game series. That kind of feels like what Pity is, because like you're saying, all these other players were also playing great, and Pity was just, the accessory kind of and he made the most of his opportunities. He might have gotten the most chances to finish and things like that. And again, the whole situation to me is just it's like bizarro. It's the exact opposite of what it should be, because it should be easier to come to MLS and succeed.
You guys want to hear some Eric Hate tweets?
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Champion MD. He was responding to Dirty South Soccer. It was a quote tweet from basically us plugging the show. And he goes, the tweets, if you want to talk about it, join the show. Dr. Champion, I would, but I don't want to talk if Eric Quintana's in the room. Bad luck, Eric.
Yes.
Next one comes from Joey Logan. Eric strikes again. And Olympique, I don't even know. Why does Eric Quintana hate Pity? Someone says this is on you, Eric.
No, Eric, you always have to hate someone. Like you graduated from Tito hate because you're saying now that he should play over Pity.
It was never even Tito hate. It was just, look, he's a DP. I need more out of the DP. It's the same concept now.
That's true.
Pity's the DP. I need more of the DP. I need more. I need you to produce. I need you to be able to do it by yourself. I need you to. I just want him to jump rope for like a month straight so he gets faster. Apparently that's the key. I've read that somewhere. You jump rope, you get faster.
Well, to be fair, I mean he did.
It's like riding a bike.
He did struggle early at River Plate too, so maybe you're running into a similar.
I'm going to this weekend at some point research the changes made from year 1 to year 2, and I'm willing to bet it's the players that were around Pity that were better than Pity, and whatever changes they made that team better with or without Pity. And he just happened to be the beneficiary because he happened to be putting the balls in, happened to be putting himself in perfect situations. Because I remember watching his highlight video, like, man, this guy can pass.
There's a better player there, man.
He's yet to show that. He's yet to show that he can take a player 1v1 on a consistent basis. He's yet to show me that he can put a good ball in. His corners are an absolute train wreck.
Get the sports psychologist, man. There's a good player in there. You cannot watch those highlights. Those were not photoshopped or edited. Those happened, man. There is a good player there somewhere.
Barco corners and free kicks are the only ones I want to see. It's night and day what Barco on a set piece does for this team. It's a more dangerous opportunity. It's a better ball for whoever's attacking it. It's a ball that Atlanta United players can actually attack. Okay, I'm done. No more Pity talk.
Can we get back to Carlson for a second? I do, because there is an interesting point.
I really feel bad, man. I feel bad, but
but you can't. You can't feel bad. He should stop making excuses for this kid. Okay, it's over. Like he's had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. The reason I bring this back up is because it's interesting. Going into this weekend, it's not like a whole lot is going to change roster-wise for Atlanta United. They might need him. Because a lot of people are asking the question. You see it on social media. Is he done? Is he done? Is this his last chance?
We're going to see it this weekend.
That's what I'm saying.
If he's in the 18, if he's not in the 18, I think the answer is pretty clear.
But it feels like it's almost like one of those situations where it's like, yes, you need to punish the player, but at the same time, if you punish the player in this situation and you need him, because again, there's still no attacking depth right now. Joseph's still gone. Tito gone. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, what are you going to do in the attack? You don't have enough options to just be saying. It's almost like by punishing the player, you're punishing the team.
I think you need to show some for the young homegrowns who all watched Carleton be bestowed as the next great thing for Atlanta. Well, the only great thing for Atlanta United at the time. You got to show this. We're not messing around. Like when you join Atlanta United, you got to be professional. You can't forget your passport. You can't, for whatever the reasons are, miss MLS Cup or the parade after that. You can't do this nonsensical stuff that are hurting your career in the long run.
I think he should be done. I mean, I think the well has dried up, so to speak. But at the same time, he has picked a very bad time to do this because of the lack of depth right now due to various factors.
Yeah.
I mean, just bring in your passport.
Thank you. I said this earlier. Mine's in my backpack.
Sam's passport being in his backpack is interesting, but maybe that's what he should do.
I'm just saying, know where it is.
Tied to him. You know what I do? Because I
know where mine is. I don't have mine
always leave my house without stuff I need. So if I know I'm going to do it, I leave my keys on top of what I need to take with me. So in this case, if I was Andrew Carleton, I would leave my passport with my keys on top of it, so I couldn't possibly miss it. These are the people that need to be advising him. It's like, look, you're going to forget stuff. You're that guy. I'm that guy. I know how it is. You have to prepare ahead for your own stupidity. A real man recognizes his own weaknesses.
I'm trying. If anyone on the YouTube channel chat can think of a situation that is similar to this, where a professional player, for whatever reason, doesn't make a trip because of something similar to this.
The passport thing is
I've never heard of that.
How about go get somebody to get your passport to you real quick and hire your own plane to take you to the game? How about that?
I remember high school football where you forgot your helmet?
Yeah.
You forgot your cleats?
Mom!
No, like if you were at the game, so many times at the game, people were like, "Oh man, I forgot my stuff." You didn't play.
I don't know. Sometimes with like helmets, you could be like, hey, let me borrow your helmet.
I'm not surprised at the reaction. I'm not surprised they if they just said, "Are you kidding? Go home," and they left it at that and got on the plane.
I just realized how ridiculous the idea that I just proposed sounds. By the way,
Doug Robertson,
hire your own plane.
Doug Robertson essentially getting the story real quick and tweeting it out makes me think that that Lane might be fed up with them.
100%. They don't give Doug that much information. I mean, they told him the entire story. Anybody. That's what I'm saying. Whoever the beat reporter be. They don't say, because teams don't do that. Like normally, if this has been a different circumstance, or if this has been like Andrew Carleton's first offense or whatever, they would have probably said, yeah, there's an issue with Andrew Carleton. He's not going to be making the trip with us, blah, blah, blah. But this time, it seems like, went out to embarrass Andrew Carleton because of the way that
I'm not going to go that far, but
to send a message to Andrew Carleton that might be somewhat embarrassing. How about that? Is that better word?
I just think
I don't think they're like, oh yeah, let's take this opportunity to embarrass him.
Well, it's not about embarrassing, it's about sending him a message.
But you're saying embarrassing, like that's what they sound.
But that's the thing. By embarrassing him, it's a little bit of a punishment by saying, okay, we're not going to protect you here.
Is it embarrassing for Carleton? Yes, but I don't think Atlanta United set out to embarrass him. It's the way you're phrasing it.
Well, I think because of the embarrassment that it can cause, because you have to address the story. You can't just trot out a bench with 6 players and just say, oh, we
but they could if they had wanted to, they could have clouded this or hit it better than they did.
I don't really know how you hide one man short on the bench other than that someone really screwed up, or you have a
stomach virus.
Or you have you could just lie.
That's what I'm saying.
Is risky.
No, Atlanta United, what they would do is just say, well, you know what, he had something come up at the last minute, he couldn't make the trip.
Exactly. That's all they would have said. Exactly.
That would have been the business way to approach it.
And then everybody would have speculated.
No, you're right. No one would have. But
they don't care about that.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
No, because I think they know.
They're not throwing Carleton under the bus at that point.
But I think their thought is, we need to get ahead of the story and say what happens before people start speculating wildly about why you're down a man on the bench. Is it Andrew Carlton? What did Andrew Carlton do? Who we
But-
already know the manager said needs to work on his professionalism. So I think the team is saying we need to get ahead of this story to provide further speculation and maybe further embarrassment, and just go ahead, spill the beans, and say what happened.
But if this was a player who didn't have previous transgressions, they would have done more to try to protect him from the real God's honest truth getting out here.
I tend to agree.
So there is some good news after today's loss, and Pity playing so bad. Atlanta United started the day in 4th place. They are still in 4th place. 26 points. Philadelphia Union 32 points. Not that far off. The two teams in front of them, Montreal Impact and DC United. DC United winning today. Montreal Impact, they done won today over Portland. They're both sitting on 30 points. Montreal in 2nd, DC United in 3rd, and again, Atlanta United in 4th. So look, you go into the weekend still in a position to not necessarily jump up the standings, but at least put yourself in a position where you're still in the playoff spot.
Still
You're
long
still
way
in
to
the,
go.
yeah, no, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure, you wanted to win, you wanted 3 points, but it's not the worst case scenario. You didn't win. It's the first game back after a long break. It's the first game in a series of 8 in a matter of a month or whatever it is. So it's not the end of the world. Hopefully there's a way where on Saturday, if Pity does start, he can find a way to get it together. I just think it's long enough for me where I'm like, all right.
But I still think with Tito out, with Joseph out,
Oh,
with
I think he's
Marco
gonna
out,
start,
he
yeah. He's gonna
has to
start,
be in
yeah.
your 11, and you just need more out of him. I think.
What if Pinty has a great game against Montreal?
I think he could. I mean,
It's not about having a great game.
Well, this is one
Because
bad
he's
game
shown
because he's
us-
been playing better
No.
before this game.
The way he's playing, it's not good or bad. The way he's playing is consistent enough to where he is not the player we were promised. He is not the player. He is not a South American player of the year. That is what he's not. If he has a good game on Saturday, fine. He had one good game. As we say, it's about every player. Consistency is what all that matters to me is consistency.
But we've seen
I know
much more in that number 10 role than
I
out
know
wide.
consistently what Tito will give me. I know he'll give me a couple good moments, but a lot of bad moments. I accept that when he walks in. Pity, it's to the point where all I expect from him now, consistently, all I'm expecting from now is bad moments. And if you give me 1 out of 17 games, awesome. That's one moment. I need more of those moments for me to change my opinion about Pity. So if he has one good game, great. You helped Atlanta United win. You helped Atlanta United 3 points. That doesn't change my opinion about you yet.
I feel like a gif of him missing that penalty and it skying over the bar has just been playing over in my head for like the last 30 minutes. I mean, it was a Roberto Baggio, actually way worse than Roberto Baggio. And yes, that is a very old reference, 1994 World Cup. But hey, we're not the youngest group of spring chickens.
So Montreal
goes
beats
back away.
Montreal beats Portland 2-1. Montreal is Atlanta United's next opponent at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's Saturday, 6 o'clock. Didn't get a chance to obviously watch Portland Montreal, but just based off the stats, 13 shots for Montreal, 4 shots on target, 61% possession, 600 passes, 5 corners.
They're an interesting team.
Quanco with 2 goals, one of the 28th and one of the 66th. So
They're an interesting one. I mean, Nacho Piatti's been out for quite some time now. They've been super, super up and down. So they're an interesting opponent. I mean, they're going to come in second in the East. Obviously, I think they have 2 or 3 matches in hand. I think you mentioned that earlier.